Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to All About Sports. The NBA has given teams an updated timeline for resumption of the 2019-2020 season, according to multiple reports. The continuation of play is slated for July 30th, in which the 22 teams will resume their season at Walt Disney World in Orlando. I'm your host, Luca Vitale, and joining me today, no, it is not just talking about sports. It's Sam Walker from Joplin, Missouri, who will be studying international journalism at Mizzou. But I am studying sports journalism at Mizzou. So how you doing, Sam?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So let's get right to it. Who will win the 2020 NBA championship?
I really think if I had to pick two teams to go into the finals, I think top two are the Bucks and Lakers. I know there's been a lot of talk about the Lakers and the Clippers in that Western Conference. You know, who's it going to be? But I really think the Lakers are going to take it. And I think if it does come down to the Lakers versus the Bucks, I think the Lakers are going to have it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to disagree with those people out there saying, like, the Bucks may not get there, but I do have my doubts about the Bucks. I really do. I'm a Bucks hater, as many people tell me. But I have, like I said, the Hollywood backdrop is going to shine brighter once those Lakers bring home the championship title. Now, why do I think that? Why do I say? Well, guess what? Last year, they were 37-45, which was for 10th in the Western Conference. They scored about 112 points per game, which was 16th in the league. And then they let up about 114 points last year, which was about 21st in the league. You fast forward to this season. They were 49-14 once the season was suspended, which is for first in the league in the Western Conference. They scored about 114 points a game, 7th in the league, and then they let up only 107 points, which is 3rd in the league. Why? Because not only was there LeBron James in the Los Angeles Lakers, you added a great piece in Anthony Davis, in which formed a great dynamic duo. We know James and Davis, what they can do. They respect second and third, respectively, in career player efficiency rating. So you get to the Clippers, right? We know Paul George. He's an MVP finalist last season. We know Kawhi Leonard. He's a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. He brought home his second Finals MVP last year when he won the title with the Toronto Raptors. We get all that. But if people do not know this, Anthony Davis is a 3-time All-NBA defensive selection, has led the league in blocks 3 times. You can make the case he is as good as anybody besides Rudy Gobert as protecting the rim. He can defend multiple spots, which is a huge bonus for this Lakers team. Any other thoughts for you before I go on?
I mean, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, especially I think the Lakers have an advantage this year just because some of those Western teams they don't have to worry about. You know, Golden State Warriors for the past few years have been really huge competitors. They've been in the finals multiple times within the past 10 years. But this year, they've had 50 losses. This has been their worst year by far, and because of injuries. You know, Steph Curry was taken out for months because of a arm injury. You know, Klay Thompson hasn't played at all this season because he tore his ACL trying to do a dunk. So two of, you know, the Splash Brothers, the heaviest hitters in the Golden State Warriors, were completely gone. And that really shook up the Western Conference quite a bit because they're used to, you know, Golden State Warriors were some of the top players right with the Lakers and have taken out LeBron before. And so I think they had some less concerns there. And I think, you know, LeBron has been without a ring for a couple of years now. And I think he's getting very, very hungry. He's talked about how he's hungry for this. He's trying to build up the Lakers, you know, make a power team. He did that with Anthony Davis. I think he'll continue to do that. I don't see much stopping them. He really wants this, and we've seen in the past that if LeBron wants something, he's likely to get it.
Yeah, you brought up a lot of good points right there. And about stopping, the only team that could possibly stop this team are the Los Angeles Clippers. That's it. Yeah. Now, the reason I say they will not beat them is because the Clippers are at best playing their small. That leaves them very vulnerable in the middle against James, who is a 55% shooter on drives. And then you got Anthony Davis, who's a great pick and roll screener. Yes, the Lakers are short on those perimeter stoppers. You got Rajon Rondo, you got Kyle Kuzma, you got Bradley, you got all those guys. And it's terrifying against good players, against Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. But the Clippers cannot make their best lineup any bigger. So they're either vulnerable against James and Davis, who are 6'9", 6'10", respectively, or they don't have their top quintet on the floor.
I mean, and let's just face it, the Clippers just simply do not have the finals experiences that the Lakers do. They've never been to the finals. I don't know if they're ready or will be able to play those, the Clippers teams, while there's been players who've made finals appearances and that sort of thing, the Clippers teams themselves has never been to the finals. So as a team dynamic and as the team itself, I just don't know if they're ready for that playoff league. While, LeBron James and the Lakers themselves have had plenty of finals and playoffs experience. So when it comes down to it, I don't know what will happen, but I really think the Lakers, just based off pure experience, would be more likely to get it. Because yes, the Clippers have beat the Lakers in a couple of games this past season, but when it comes to playoff times, the Lakers have proven themselves, the Clippers haven't.
And also, I noticed this throughout the season too. Maybe you got to see this as well. The Clippers they load managed Kawhi throughout the season. Paul George was out for a good amount of time too. This team never got to play with each other. They didn't get to develop that chemistry that the Lakers did. And obviously, if the season wasn't suspended, I think the Clippers would have an advantage because how much time LeBron and Davis spent. But now that the season was suspended, not only are they rested, but the Lakers had more time to play with one another than the Clippers did.
Yes. And, I think that's going to be a huge thing. LeBron and the Lakers themselves have a history of picking who they play with and building that dynamic and building those relationships. And it's proven really well in the court. And, another dynamic that's going to go into it is the Clippers and the Lakers have this long history and this long rivalry between each other. And I think that's going to really affect how they play too, because they're both hungry for the same thing and they don't want the other person to have it.
Yeah, and about the hungry thing, the Lakers missed the playoffs last season, and it gave LeBron James more rest. We need to know that this man had made the finals 8 straight years, and he hasn't had this much rest since the second year in the league. That is insane. LeBron James, he is ready to reclaim this throne after Kawhi took it last year. I know he didn't really technically take it, but he took the championship. So let's talk about that Eastern Conference. Who is getting there to the Lakers to try to beat them?
I really think it's going to be the Bucks. Some people are saying that the Raptors are going to come up and try to reclaim their throne, keep it. But, I just don't think they've kept it up this year. The Miami Heat has also put forth a great effort. The trio of Tyler Hero, Bam, and Jimmy Butler is quite incredible. They've done really, really well this season. But if you just look, the Bucks have some of the, least amount of losses. They've done super well this season. And, Giannis is a superstar. He's the reigning MVP right now. And there's been a lot of LeBron James comparisons. People really want to see that matchup. So should the Lakers be the Western Conference champs, I do think the Bucks could be the Eastern champs very most definitely. And to see that matchup would be really cool. But there are some concerns just because, Giannis kind of choked in the playoffs last year against the Raptors. They lost. That didn't bode well. And so the Raptors went on, and they're worried that's going to happen again. But my thought is, I think Giannis is really hungry this year. He's the MVP. He has that kind of, head to him now. He knows where he messed up last year, and I think he's going to bring that and put it on.
Yep. And I have my doubts with this Bucks team again, because guess what? It's Giannis and Chris Middleton. That is no dynamic duo at any stretches of the imagination, okay? So the Eastern Conference is a very intriguing conference. You got some very good teams that could easily knock out the Bucks. Toronto, they can, but the problem is they don't have that one piece, and that one piece last year was Kawhi Leonard. He's not there anymore. Yes, you still got Kyle Lowry. You still got Van Vliet. You still got other pieces and like Serge Ibaka. We get all that. But the problem is they don't have enough to get over that hump. Then you got the Boston Celtics. Do I think they could beat the Milwaukee Bucks? It is possible. But do I think? No. You got Kemba Walker, who's a better replacement than Kyrie Irving could ever be. You got Gordon Hayward. You even got the uprising of Jason Tatum. But the problem is they have never been able to stretch enough wins in a row and play the best they could at their ability on the floor. So this year, I don't think so. They still got a little bit more developing. But the one team that I believe that could beat the Bucks in a series best out of 7 is the Miami Heat. You got a great coach in Eric Spoelstra. Remember, this is the same guy that coached LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and the sidekick in Mario Chalmers back in the day. This guy, he was able to get this team chemistry going with young people in Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, Bam, like you said, and Jimmy Butler. This team, we need to understand something. They beat the Bucks not once, but twice this season. 131 to 126 and 105 to 87. And who did Bam guard? Giannis. And how many points was he held to? 13. And people always forget something about Giannis. He has still not shown the world he has a mid-jumper. So don't be surprised that the Heat upset the Bucks and go to the championship to try to take on the Lakers.
And I would love that happen. I mean, you know that I'm a huge Miami Heat fan. I'm a huge Jimmy Butler fan. So I would love that happens. I do think if it's not the Bucks, it would be the Heat. And I do think it's a big toss-up, but I'm just looking at the amount of wins comparatively. Yes, the Heat have beaten the Bucks, but the Bucks still have less losses than the Heat do. Mm-hmm. So I think if it's not this year, then definitely next year, if this team dynamic continues to go, that the Heat will be the Eastern champions. I mean, I see that happening because you just don't see that dynamic growing with any other team really in that Eastern champ. Certainly not with necessarily the Bucks right now. Certainly not with like the 76ers or anything like that. So I think they're really growing that team dynamic in that team chemistry. And you see it with their interviews, not just on the court. And you have to talk about some of the issues that the Bucks are already having. You know, Brook Lopez, who's one of their most versatile player, his shooting has really suffered this year. He only has like a 29.6 average at the three-point line. You know, and that's pretty low for him. So it's not his best year. They've also had, some injuries, like Eric Bledsoe's knee injury. So they're not the best they've ever been.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point there. By the way, never put the 76ers and chemistry in the same sentence. I don't want to hear that from anybody.
Well, I said they don't have good chemistry, so
But yeah, so if the Bucks happen to get to the championship, they still will not beat the Lakers.
No.
Why? While James is past the point of encountering those, which you like to call a measuring stick matchup, he still summons his best when he feels his throne is threatened. And there's no bigger threat right now in basketball than Giannis Antetokounmpo, all right? We all need to get that out of the way. Giannis can physically challenge James, and he will win that part of the battle, don't get me wrong. But the king, what he has is the sharper basketball mindset. And that could definitely prove a massive advantage in the chess match in what we call the NBA Finals. We know LeBron James, he's a more diverse scorer and a much more more natural table setter. He can be a bigger help to his teammates, and he gets a better boost from his sidekick in Anthony Davis. And Giannis' sidekick is Chris Middleton. You can't even compare those two at all.
So yeah, I definitely, even if the Bucks are the Eastern champs, definitely the Lakers will have it. Now, I think the Bucks may, put up a big fight. I'm not saying they won't. I'm not saying they'll get just trampled by the Lakers. But will they be defeated? Most definitely. Like I said, LeBron is hungry for this ring. It's been a couple years since he's been able to even compete for one. And he calls himself the king. Giannis is being seen as this new ruler, as the reigning MVP. And there's so many anti-LeBron people that want him to be. And so I think LeBron and the rest of the Lakers have something to prove. And I think they're going to, should they be in the finals, use this moment to prove it.
Yep, and guess what? With anyone that comes from the Eastern Conference, whether it's the Bucks, the Heat, the Celtics, whatever you want to call it, there is no way they will beat the Lakers or the Clippers. Whoever happens to get there, obviously I have the Lakers winning the whole thing. If they play the Bucks, I will tell you this. The Bucks at most win 2 games. The problem with LeBron and Davis, you got Bradley on there, you got Danny Green. There's just too many good players in that team that the Bucks simply don't have.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Lakers have a tendency to be able to hand pick, and LeBron too. It's had a lot of influence on who he plays with. They kind of hand pick their team to be able to have the best dynamic, the best scorers, the best teammates that they can possibly have. And the Bucks just don't have that in this time. A lot of people see Giannis as carrying this team, and carrying the Bucks right now, and I really can't disagree.
All right, all. Thanks for watching another episode of All About Sports. big congratulations to Sam Walker on the show with me. I know she's been watching a couple of these episodes. Make sure to come back for another episode, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you later.